It was a moment that flashed before cameras in an instant but ignited a firestorm of curiosity across social media, diplomatic circles, and global headlines alike. As French President Emmanuel Macron arrived with First Lady Brigitte Macron for a highly anticipated state visit to the United Kingdom, all eyes were on the red carpet rolled out at Windsor. The grandeur of the occasion, the gleaming aircraft staircase, the poised security detail, the polished black motorcade, and the solemnity of tradition all played their parts. But what captivated millions was the subtle, blink-and-you-miss-it exchange between the French president and his wife. He extended his hand gallantly as she descended the steps of the aircraft, a gesture befitting the ceremony and tradition of state-level diplomacy. But to the astonishment of onlookers and cameras poised in anticipation, Brigitte Macron appeared to either not see or deliberately ignore the offer, choosing instead to steady herself without his assistance. In the world of politics, especially one punctuated by meticulously choreographed optics, such a moment, silent yet thunderous, rarely passes unnoticed. This visual crack in the diplomatic veneer sparked a torrent of interpretations. Was it an innocent oversight, a momentary lapse in coordination, or did it betray a deeper, more telling undercurrent between France's first couple at a time when their personal and political pressures are more intense than ever? Emmanuel and Brigitte Macron have long been under the lens, not only for their unconventional love story but for how they navigate the treacherous terrain of leadership and public scrutiny. Their union has often been painted as a pillar of strength and elegance amid global unrest, a stabilizing front that communicates trust and familiarity. But every movement on this highly symbolic visit is magnified, and that single gesture, or lack thereof, has fed into a narrative that perhaps there is more than what meets the eye. As the French leader descended those stairs at Windsor, the scene was set for one of the most symbolically significant visits between France and the United Kingdom in recent years. Coming on the heels of mounting European tensions, trade negotiations, and a shared history clouded by both alliances and rivalry, the Macrons' presence carried diplomatic weight. But what the world witnessed first was not political gravitas, it was human awkwardness. Cameras zoomed in on Emmanuel Macron's hand, held out mid-air as his wife confidently made her way down without acknowledging it. For a brief second, his expression seemed frozen, neither overtly disappointed nor unduly perturbed, but enough to signal that he felt the sting of the moment. The tension in body language was dissected endlessly by analysts and social commentators. Brigitte, dressed impeccably as always in a navy blue ensemble that paid tribute to both French haute couture and royal formality, maintained a calm and slightly reserved expression. Her focus appeared solely on navigating the steps, avoiding eye contact and interaction. Macron, in contrast, showed a practiced diplomatic smile, the kind that conceals discomfort with grace. Together, they walked forward toward the receiving party, led by British officials and royal courtiers awaiting their presence on British soil. Still, the air hung heavy with the weight of that unexplained disconnect. State visits are not merely about protocol, they are about symbolism. Every step taken, every hand shaken, every look exchanged plays a role in constructing the narrative between two nations and the people who represent them. For the British monarchy, led now by King Charles III and Queen Camilla, this was more than a welcoming gesture, it was an opportunity to reaffirm France's place as one of Britain's oldest and most complex allies. Yet for the public watching online, the moment that spoke volumes was not the formal handshake with King Charles nor the military honors, it was the private language between two public figures whose every move is scrutinized in global headlines. Brigitte Macron has always been an enigmatic presence, an educator by profession, a first lady by circumstance, and a fashion icon by evolution. Her relationship with Emmanuel Macron, more than 2 decades her junior, has been celebrated and criticized in equal measure. Their connection was once seen as defiant in a world governed by expectations, a love story that withstood norms and built itself into the highest office in France. But as time passed, the public's romanticism gave way to realism. Politics changed. The French president's popularity waxed and waned amid protests, pension reforms, and foreign diplomacy. Brigitte remained at his side through it all, yet moments like this offhanded rebuff on a diplomatic runway rekindle questions about how power, image, and partnership evolve under extreme pressure. British commentators were swift to weigh in. Tabloid headlines splashed images of the incident with provocative titles, while body language experts were brought in to decode the encounter. Was it a miscommunication, A sign of private disagreement carried into public view, or perhaps a deliberate show of independence by Brigitte, eager to reclaim her own space on an international stage dominated by male political figures. Royal watchers compared the moment to previous state visits, where unity and synchronicity between couples, be it Charles and Camilla, William and Kate, or even foreign leaders, played a part in reinforcing diplomatic harmony. Beyond the gossip and speculation, however, lies a broader narrative of what the modern political stage has become. No longer confined to speeches, handshakes, and policy papers, it now unfolds in viral clips, in spoken gestures, and the collective interpretation of millions. The Macrons may not have intended to convey any message beyond their arrival, but in that silent moment, the world projected countless meanings. In a sense, the incident reflects our current global fascination with the micro over the macro, where the slightest shift in expression can set fire to an entire news cycle. Emmanuel Macron is no stranger to navigating difficult optics. He is a leader who has faced political headwinds at home and abroad, always managing to rebound with a carefully curated image of resilience and intellect. Yet this incident challenged that image in a peculiar way, not by policy or protest, but by human vulnerability. It showed a chink in the armor, not of leadership, but of relational choreography. Perhaps it reminded people that even the most powerful are susceptible to awkward missteps, to misread timing, to personal emotions bubbling just beneath the surface. Meanwhile, the royal reception that followed was everything expected of a British state welcome: grandeur, precision, formality, and elegance. The Macrons were ushered into Windsor Castle with all due ceremony, flanked by soldiers in full regalia, Union Jacks fluttering in the wind, and the unmistakable echo of tradition. King Charles, ever composed and diplomatic, extended a warm greeting, while Queen Camilla smiled graciously. For the British royal family, this was about optics and continuity, demonstrating that despite Brexit, despite shifting alliances, Britain remains a center of global diplomacy and cultural reverence. As the state visit progressed with formal meetings, banquets, and cultural tours, the initial plain moment remained a persistent undercurrent. Every photo taken thereafter, every interaction between Emmanuel and Brigitte was analyzed for signs of recalibration. Were they closer now? Did they hold hands later? Did Brigitte lean in with affection during the palace banquet? Social media users became amateur analysts, parsing images for clues, dissecting gestures, and reposting videos with slow-motion replays. The spectacle of leadership had merged entirely with the theater of public interest. In France, the response was mixed. Some criticized the obsession with a moment they deemed irrelevant, calling it a distraction from the deeper themes of the state visit: economic agreements, cultural exchange, and Franco-British cooperation. Others saw it as a revealing lens into the emotional costs of public life. Either way, the incident sparked conversations that extended far beyond the red carpet, inviting debates about gender roles, expectations of femininity in politics, and the emotional intelligence required in leadership. At the heart of it all, Brigitte Macron stood unchanged, dignified, poised, and complex. Whether her refusal of the hand was conscious or subconscious, it reflected a woman who has long balanced immense public scrutiny with personal conviction. If anything, it reaffirmed her enigmatic nature. For Emmanuel Macron, the moment was fleeting but memorable, a reminder that even the most calculated appearances can be upended by spontaneity. The story of the Macrons at Windsor is not simply about a hand left hanging in midair. It is a story about human behavior under the lens of power. It is a story about how silence can be louder than speeches. It is a story about diplomacy, both official and personal. And it is a story that, for all its intricacies, remains deeply relatable to anyone who has ever experienced a public misstep, a missed cue, or a moment where emotion outpaced decorum. As the state visit continued, one truth became evident: the world still watches with bated breath not only for grand declarations and historical accords, but for the unscripted moments that reveal the humanity behind the headlines. The red carpets may be rolled up, and the official motorcade may return to Paris, but the memory of that gesture, and the questions it raised, will linger long in the collective imagination. And so, we ask you, our viewers, what do you believe was truly going on behind that moment? A mistake, a message, or simply a case of being caught in the wrong frame of 1,000 cameras? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more intriguing revelations from the world's most powerful figures.